This is KGW News at noon.
Today marks 2 full years of living with COVID here in the U.S. It was on this day, January 21st, 2 years ago, that a man in a hospital in Everett, Washington was diagnosed with the country's first confirmed case of COVID-19. 24 months and 68 million cases later, the U.S. has seen nearly 860,000 COVID deaths. Welcome to the News at Noon. I'm Drew Carney. Now, the COVID numbers we're focusing on today are hospitalizations because those numbers are nearing record highs in Oregon. This chart we're about to show you tracks the total number of people in Oregon hospitals with COVID right now, and the far right side of the chart shows the most recent count. That number is over 1,000, which is not as bad as we saw back in mid-September, but it is getting close. That's Becky Hultberg you see right there. She's the CEO of the Oregon Association of Hospitals, and she talked to us about the biggest issues that hospitals are faced with right now.
The lack of available hospital beds is pushing the system everywhere to a breaking point. There is good news. The good news is that most patients in the hospital with COVID-19 aren't as sick as they were during the Delta wave. But the sheer number of patients, exacerbated by staffing and discharge challenges, has the potential to overwhelm the healthcare system.
You heard Hultberg mention discharge challenges there, challenges all across the state. Now that refers to patients who would normally be sent to long-term care facilities, but because those facilities are at capacity, those patients have to stay in the hospital. The state is bringing in more staff for those care facilities and also opening temporary locations where patients can recover. But Hultberg says she's not sure if those efforts are going to be enough. We want to move over to Washington for a moment because people who live in Washington can now get free at-home COVID test kits delivered to their homes. Now, this opportunity is in addition to the free tests that people can order now from the federal government. So the State Department of Health launched its own online portal today. We have the website at the bottom of your screen right now. It's sayyescovidhometest.org. To start, Washington residents can order up to 5 tests per address. For all the latest COVID updates, you can always go to KGW.com. And if you text the word coronavirus to that number on your screen, 503-226-5088, we'll text you back with a link to a story on our website that includes interactive graphs that span the entire pandemic. And that story also has details on where you can get a COVID vaccine. 5 schools in the Portland Public School District are returning to in-person learning on Monday. Here's a look at that list. It includes, for starters, Roosevelt and Franklin High Schools, also Ockley Green Middle School, Fabian Elementary, and Alliance High School, or Alliance High, that is, at Meek Campus. We should point that out because Alliance High at Meek Campus goes back to in-person learning on Monday, but Alliance High School at Kenton will go back to in-person learning on Tuesday. Staffing shortages and a lack of substitutes was the reason those schools went back to remote learning in the first place. So we spoke to some local parents who pointed out that all those schools we just talked about, they're all located on Portland's east side.
You know, we did this map, and if you look at the map of which schools are closed, it's very telling for which communities are being hit hardest.
The way that the closures have happened this winter are like visibly inequitable, imperfect though distance learning may have been. You know, everyone was kind of relatively, I guess, in the same boat.
Portland Public Schools aren't the only ones that have had to deal with staffing shortages lately. We've seen a number of local school districts switch back to remote learning this month during the Omicron surge. So if you'd like to hear from more parents about how they're dealing with the COVID-related scheduling changes, we have a full article on this topic at KGW.com. And if you simply want to keep track of the scheduling changes involving local schools, you can text the word school to 503-226-5088. We'll text you back with a link to an article on our website that updates any changes throughout the day. Financial security is another ongoing pandemic issue for a lot of people. But if you live in Clark County and you're having a hard time paying your rent, financial help will be available starting tomorrow. KGW's Devin Haskins explains how to apply.
If you need help paying rent in Clark County, listen up. Starting tomorrow at 11 a.m., the county's portal will open up both online and over the phone. This program has been paying rent for those needing financial help since August of 2020. $39 million has helped pay rent for over 4,700 households. Here's how it works. Anyone that pays rent in Clark County can apply as long as you haven't been awarded money from the program in the past. You do have to meet certain requirements, though, like income level. Those that do apply will go through an interview process and money will be given out to 400 applicants. This program has been so popular, you'll want to be ready to apply as soon as it opens up at 11 a.m. Saturday.
I would expect that it would fill pretty quickly. What we have seen is typically anywhere from 30 minutes to several days, but typically most recently we have seen the portal fill, so thinking 400 households would anticipate typically within 30 minutes the portal would fill.
There's a lot of information here on how to apply. You may want to pause your TV, take a photo of the screen for later use, but first go to councilforthehomeless.org/rent-assistance. Or you can call 360-695-9677. You can also get an application in person through Share at the Fromhold Center. That's located at 2306 Northeast Andreessen Road. That's in Vancouver. Rental assistance is also available for landlords. There's a separate link for both tenants and landlords. You'll be able to find all this information on our website at kgw.com. If you miss this one, you'll have another opportunity on February 2nd. I'm Devin Haskins, KGW News.
Meanwhile, business owners in Beaverton can also apply to get some extra pandemic relief thanks to the American Rescue Plan Act. The money can be used to help businesses with things like utilities, rent, and inventory. The application deadline for this is 2 weeks from today, Friday, February 4th. Applications are being accepted on the Beaverton City website. We now want to give you an update on a story we first brought you this morning on the Sunrise Show. Portland police have 3 people in custody after a deadly hit-and-run crash. The crash involved 2 cars. It happened just before midnight last night in southeast Portland at Southeast McLaughlin and Holgate. Police say the passenger in one of the cars died at the scene. The driver of that car was badly hurt and taken to the hospital. Police also say the driver and passengers in the other car ran off after the crash. Police did manage to find those suspects later, and the driver of that car is facing multiple charges, including manslaughter and DUI. Now to an update on the I-5 Rose Quarter expansion project, because the Federal Highway Administration withdrew its approval, at least for the time being. It's now asking ODOT for a new environmental assessment, and here's why. ODOT changed the plans after they were first approved more than a year ago. The expansion now includes CAPS, which will cover part of I-5. ODOT says it doesn't believe doing the new environmental assessment will change its timeline, so the project is still set to begin late next year.
But if the environmental assessment does find that there are significant impacts that cannot be avoided through mitigation, then we would work with our federal partners in pursuing an environmental impact statement if needed.
So ODOT saying this is no big deal, but critics of this I-5 project, including the group No More Freeways, they're claiming credit for this delay.
We do believe that today's or this week's announcement is spurred, in fact, by our continued legal persistence and making sure the federal government was aware of what ODOT had been proposing and how the community objected to it.
Of course, we'll continue to bring you updates on this whole process as it moves forward. Rodney Hill, what we need from you, my friend, right now is a weather update. What do you have for us?
Hi, good morning. It's been quiet. Or good morning. It's good afternoon now. My apologies.
I wasn't going to correct you.
That was not a good start. Today, day one of what we think, at this point anyway, will be 7 dry days in a row. And the weather pattern overall shows that. This is a clear signature of dry weather. Typically, if you look at the satellite picture, the clouds are kind of bending up and way around us. We call that upper level ridging. We have light winds out there. Now, some areas are getting some sun, but it's been a struggle for other parts of the valley location. Let me go ahead and hit the button on the keyboard and show you the sunshine up at Timberline Lodge. Mostly sunny that direction and not that bad, 37 degrees, so that's warming. It's been partly cloudy mostly here at Cannon Beach. A little bit of cloudiness down low now, but lots of people out enjoying the day. And then here's downtown Portland. Clouds are thinning out, but overall it's still mostly cloudy. Now you jump out to Camas. Here's Camas Mills Golf Course, and that's quite a bit brighter, partly cloudy. Anyway, if it's cloudy where you are, I really think these clouds have to go. So increasing sunshine this afternoon. We're at 47. It's not bad outside. 50 at noon. Light northwest winds. Mainly clear this evening and 44. We'll have the weekend forecast. Also, we'll show you the latest on where we stand moisture-wise across all of Oregon. That's coming up. And when are we going to get cold and wet for an extended period of time? We'll talk about that too.